Hello guys, welcome to the second part of this video series on how to make a senator wear using this image as a reference. In the first part of this tutorial, I shared with you guys the measurement required in drafting a senator wear pattern, how to construct the front neckline, the armhole, the side seam, and also the amount of the seam allowances needed on the pattern. And in today's video, we shall continue from where we stopped by completing the front panel and also showing you how to draft the back panel. And I will be showing you the secret of cutting out your fabrics without having issue of shortage or excess. My name is Bolaji and this is Reggie School of Fashion. So guys, now I have my seam allowances added all around my pattern. As you can see, on the neckline area I added half of an inch, on the shoulder line half of an inch, on the armhole half of an inch. Then by the side I used 0.75, that is 3/4 of an inch on the chest level, on the waist level. Then I connected the point together. Then on the vent length I used the same 0.75 and I connected this together. As you can see, I have another line after the 0.75. This is for the vent allowance. So this point to this point I use 1.5 inches. From here to here I measured 1.5 inches, and on the senator length as well I measured the same 1.5 inches. So this is what I will be using in finishing the vent area, and I connected the point together. When I'm ready to cut, I will cut downward and cross to the 1.5 inches point, then cut it straight down to the senator length. Then for the neckline area, I later extended my neck depth to be 2.75 instead of 2 inches I told you guys. So I used 2.75 for the neckline area because I'm still going to cut out of this, just as I told you at the beginning of this video, that the front panel is usually shorter than the back panel, though the front panel is still going to take it back from the back after construction. But I still need to do my calculation properly and make sure I get everything right before cutting out my pattern. So that is why I'm encouraging you to watch my video on how to draft pattern for a male native shirt. I explained into details how you can get an accurate measurement for your neckline area without having issue of too tight or too opened. So now the next step is to cut our front panel short. So this will be 2 inches shorter than the back panel. The 2 inches I'm going to cut away from here will be added to the back panel. So I will just draw out the line, but I will not cut it yet because I'm still going to use the front panel as a pattern for the back. So from the shoulder slant point, as you can see, I've taken this up by half of an inch. So that does not mean anything. I will just take the measurement from the half of an inch seam allowance and mark my 2 inches. So automatically I have the seam allowance on my pattern. Then on the neckline point as well, which is the HPS, I will mark the same 2 inches. Then I will take my straight ruler and connect this together. So in this case, this line is not going to be a straight line. As you can see what I'm having here, so this is not going to be a straight line. So this is going to be a slant line, just like the shoulder line. The line will be slanty. So this part must be higher than this part because this is the armhole we took 1.5 inches away. So I will leave this for now. I will just highlight this with my red marker. So I'm still going to cut it out after drafting the back panel. So now I will proceed in cutting out my pattern on the seam allowances line I added. So before cutting this downward to the center length, I will need to fold in my hem allowance before cutting the lower part, because I don't want to have any shortage when hemming the lower part. So now I have the front panel cut out, then we shall proceed in drafting the back panel. So guys, now it's time to draft the back panel. If you are here to watch the first part of this video, kindly check the description area below for the link to the tutorial. Also, I recommended some of the videos needed to be watched in the first part of this tutorial. The links to the videos are also in the description area below. You need to watch my video on how to read a measuring tape accurately for pattern drafting, how to take measurement for senator wear, because you needed all this measurement to be taken accurately on your clients before drafting out your pattern. Also, in the first part of this tutorial, I explained how to construct your neckline. This is a little bit tricky and there's a secret that goes into it. I did not go deeply into that in this tutorial because I have a well-detailed tutorial on that already, which is how to draft pattern for a male native shirt. I explained into details. I really focused more on the upper part of the tutorial because there is not much difference between a male native shirt and the senator wear. So for the upper part, they are the same. So I focused more on the upper part, how to have an accurate length for the front and the back panels, despite the fact the back panel will be 4 inches longer than the front panel. How can you go about this, and how can you have an accurate measurement for your neckline after comparing it with the neckline circumference of the wearer? So you need to check out those videos after now. So in drafting the back panel, I have my leftover pattern paper laid on the table, as you can see, and I placed my front panel on the new pattern paper. So this is the center front. So definitely the edges of the new pattern paper would be the center back, and I have all my lines transferred on the new pattern paper. In transferring my lines on the new pattern paper, I left about 2 inches, minimum of 2 inches on the upper part of the new pattern paper. As you can see what I have here, from the HPS I measure 2 inches downward. Please take note of this. From this point, 2 inches. Then I place these edges, which is the HPS point, on the 2 inches point. Then I make sure the center front align properly together with the center back. Then I have the shoulder line placed on the pattern like so. So once you mark your 2 inches, the remaining part of the shoulder line will find the right position for itself. Then I tape this down. So after taping it down, I trace out the shoulder line. I trace out the shoulder line and the armhole line. This is the armhole line before constructing my front armhole. So I place this like so. Then I drew my straight line upward. But better still, you can come to the center back of your pattern, then insert half of the back measurement. Half of the back measurement I'm working with is 9.25, which is here. So with this I will have my accurate measurement. Then I'll connect the 9.25 to the chest level point I have on the front panel. Then I will draw out my armhole line. Okay, then I will pick my tracing wheel and transfer the armhole line I have on the front panel to show on the back panel like so. So I don't need to transfer the front armhole on the back pattern because the armhole is going to be different. It's not going to be the same thing. So I don't need this. All I need is the armhole line, which I've drafted out. Then I traced out the side seam just the exact way I have it on my front panel. There is no difference. So I traced out everything from the chest level downward to the hem line. So after tracing out the side seam, then I transferred my horizontal lines with my tracing wheel on the new pattern paper like this, so that I will have all these lines also on the back panel, so that after cutting out my fabrics I will be able to place my notches on the appropriate places, which will help me in having a perfect construction when I get to the sewing level. So I transferred all these lines just the way I'm doing it right now. So automatically I will have this point on the new pattern paper. Then I will mark it out clearly after removing the front panel. After tracing out your lines, don't forget to trace out your hem allowance line. That is where the pattern stopped on the front panel. Then the midpoint I have on the front armhole will be transferred on the back pattern. Having done this, the next step is to work on the neckline area. Before removing the front pattern, I will make sure I construct the back neckline. In constructing the back neckline, I will transfer the neck width measurement I have on the front panel on the back panel. So that is the exact neck width measurement I have on the front panel. So I will transfer it on the back. Okay, so after marking this out, then I will mark out 2 inches upward. So as I said earlier, from the highest point shoulder I have exactly 2 inches, so which is the edges of my pattern paper. Then I will follow the shape of the shoulder line and mark out 2 inches all around. Then I will connect this with my straight ruler. Then I will trim off the upper part. You can see I'm cutting on the 2 inches line I drafted out, and as you can see, this line is not on a straight line. So this is the shape of the shoulder line for the back panel. So the next step is to fold this over on the front panel. If you can recollect, I measured 2 inches downward on the front panel, which I said I will cut it out later after constructing the back panel. So this is just a temporary part of front panel, so I will just fold it over like so. So now with this, I will have the back panel meeting the front neckline. You can see what I have. So I will just trace out the remaining shape I have on the front panel just to complete the circle. So this is like an half circle. I will take my armhole ruler, then place it like so, in order to have a smooth neckline. So this is what I have for the back panel, and as you can see, this is the other side of the pattern. So I will need to trace this out in order to show on the right side. Now I have the shape showing on the right side of my pattern, and I will trace it out. So automatically I have the back neckline constructed. It's just as simple as that. So this is the back neckline. So now I can separate the front panel from the back panel, and I will cut off the 2 inches I shaded with my red marker. So now you can see what I have after cutting out the 2 inches. So this is the shoulder line I traced out on the back panel. So here is the shoulder line. So I will just trace it out clearly with my pencil. So now I will remove my front pattern completely and trace out my lines clearly on the back panel. So guys, now I have my lines traced out clearly on the back panel, and I have them labeled appropriately, as you can see. So now I have this. The edges of my pattern is the shoulder line for the back panel, and this point is a midpoint for both front and the back. So this is the point the neckline will meet and the shoulder line will meet. So this is going to be 2 inches below this line. So by the time we fold this over, so this line, the line I have here, is going to be the midpoint. So I'm just trying to do this so that you will not get confused. You can see what I have. So this is the midpoint. So that is the line I drew out. When I cut out my fabrics, I will place notches on that point, then give it a press in order to iron out the shoulder line. So this is going to be the real shoulder line on the wearer, and this edges is going to be joined together with the front panel like so. So the neckline will meet and the armhole will meet as well. So now the next step is to construct the back armhole. In constructing the back armhole, I have the armhole line drafted out already, and I have the midpoint marked out. So on the midpoint, I will measure half of an inch inward, unlike the front panel where I use 0.75. So this is normal because the front armhole has to be deeper than the back armhole. I have this point now. Then from the midpoint here is going to be my 0.1. So this 0.5 is going to be my 0.2, and the chest level, so this is the real measurements here, which I've already traced out. So this, from this point to this point, is the same allowance. So this point is going to be my 0.3, and I will connect the 3 points together. So this is going to be my back armhole. Then I have it like so. So guys, as far as this pattern is concerned, the back panel is ready. All I have left to do is to add my seam allowance on the neckline and on the shoulder line. But as for the remaining parts, the seam allowance has been automatically added because the pattern I used in tracing this out has the same allowance. So I don't need to add any other seam allowance by the side. Only the neckline, half of an inch, then the armhole, half of an inch. Now I have my seam allowance added on the neckline and on the shoulder line. Then I can proceed in cutting out the back panel. Guys, now it's time to cut out our fabrics using the pattern we drafted. So I will be cutting out the front panel and also cut out the back panel. I folded my fabrics into two, as you can see, and the folded side of my fabrics falls on the center front of my pattern. So which means the center front is going to be closed, so no opening at the center front. I don't need to add any markings on my fabrics anymore because I have all my seam allowances added on my pattern already. All I need to do is just go ahead and cut out my fabrics. Guys, now I have my fabrics cut out, as you can see, for both the front and the back panel. So this is the front panel, the center front is on fold, and the back panel as well, the center back is on fold. No opening at the center front, no opening at the center back. And I have my fabrics folded into two for the both panels. Then after cutting out my fabrics, I placed notches on the appropriate places. Like the center of the neckline, I place a notch there. On the chest level, I place a notch. On the waist level, I place a notch. Then on the center length, I place a notch, so that the construction will be very easy for me. It will be easy and accurate. So when I'm joining the front and the back panels together, I will make sure the notches matches properly. So with this, I will not have unnecessary excess or any shortage. So make sure you place your notches before removing your pattern. And if your fabrics has no wrong or right side, make sure you choose a side to be the front and chalk out the wrong side. So all these tips are very important. So guys, this marks the end of the drafting of our senator wear tutorial. I will encourage you to get your pattern ready and cut out your fabrics just like mine, because in my next video I will be walking you through the process of the construction step by step. Remember to give this video a thumbs up, share and leave a comment at the comment section. Thank you once again, and always do remember, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs.